Hello and welcome to the Everything PT podcast. I'm one of the hosts, Matt Taylor, along with my co-host Daniel the Bodkin. How you doing, Daniel?
I'm good. How are you, Matt?
I'm good, buddy. So thank you for embarking on this journey with me for this podcast. It's something I've kicked around doing for a while. I went to the APTA CSM meeting and took a course and bought a $75 microphone, and here we are. So I'm glad you're here, dude.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me. Podcasting has always been something I've thought about getting into, and you asked me if I was interested. And as everybody that's listening will find out, I have a lot of non-traditional roles, and as many things as I can say that I do to tell my wife that I keep myself busy with my career, that the less likely is that she might actually make me go get a real job.
Yes.
So yeah,
yes.
Having a podcast that helps cement that.
It helps
for me.
Specifically you and I, because your wife, my wife are both rock stars in the world of healthcare.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So which allows us to live this PT dream and have a podcast here too, which is great.
So one of the things about this podcast that's going to be a little different is I'm a big YouTuber. I listen to a lot of podcasts. That's how I get a lot of my evidence-based medicine. That's not what you're going to find here. Matt proposed the podcast to me, and I'm thinking, well, it's been done. Let's not reinvent the wheel. There's a bunch of others that are out there talking, PT interventions and research, and that's not really the way you wanted to present this podcast, right?
No. There's a lot of just outstanding podcasts that are already talking about PT content and like the research and the science and how to apply that, like PT Inquest, E3 Rehab, barbell medicine. This incredible guys. So yeah, I think you and I are a really good combination to do this kind of podcast. Just talk about everyday life as a PT, and sometimes we're just going to rant about some things for 20 to 25 minutes, and that's exactly what we want it to be. So if anyone has any questions, they can feel free to email, and I know we got a list of topics we're going to go over today at some point. So
Matt, why don't we just start by telling everybody who we are? I'll let you take the lead.
Sounds good. My name is Matt Taylor. I am from originally Wheeling, West Virginia. My wife and I moved to Charleston, West Virginia after her schooling. I am in private practice. I have a business called Capital Physical Therapy and Fitness. It's we're down here in Charleston, but Daniel and I got to meet through CSMI, and he knows all things isokinetic, the isokinetic wizard over there. But yeah, I've been in private practice for 2 years, and definitely consider myself a generalist. So we do a lot of ACL, we do lymphedema, we do vertigo and back pain, hit pretty much most anything that walks through the door here in rural West Virginia too. So, but yeah, I got 2 doggies, Thor and Luna, and just a beautiful wife, way more beautiful than I deserve. And I'm excited to do the podcast. I'm excited to get started. I think it's going to be a great thing. Very different than what people are used to. Yeah. Tell me about you, buddy.
So my name's Daniel Bodkin. I'm a physical therapist and athletic trainer. Not that I've ever been on the field since I was an athletic training student, but I carry that credential with me also. So I'm in private practice in Atlanta, Georgia. And I was kind of worked the traditional PT jobs for a while, but then 3 years ago, my wife finally graduated from her fellowship or in her medical training. So that moved us to Atlanta, and I had a bit of a dilemma. We had, a 1.5-year-old, we had a newborn in a new city. The dilemma was, do I start my own practice? Because I don't know anybody in Atlanta. Do I go work for somebody part-time? I was going to have to take a bigger role in the home with my wife being in the physician. So I decided to try let's see what this mobile sport, kind of like a mobile sports medicine niche, to where I would fill that gap between somebody being discharged from physical therapy to actually getting back to their sport or activity. And then opened up, and a month later, COVID kind of hit. So it was interesting that
Yeah, man.
it really didn't hurt me too much, but it kind of changed how I'm doing. So I do some of that sports physical therapy, but I also do just a lot of personal training for people who've had injuries in the past, or they don't really know what they're doing exercise wise. But my model is I will bring a gym, essentially what you're seeing back here in my gym. I bring to their house and I set up in their basement. I train them at their home, 2 to 3 times a week.
Awesome.
But the other things I do, I'm in education. So I teach for University of South Florida's athletic training program, their online program. I also work for another company called Rehab Essentials, where I create content that we sell to physical therapy programs. Then I also I contract through CSMI, who makes the HUMAC norm isokinetic system. That's actually how Matt and I met. You recently purchased a refurbished Biodex with the HUMAC software. So I went and my job was to install it and then kind of train the staff.
You can train us, you can train anyone, Daniel. I'm convinced, buddy.
Basically I got in town and I was, Matt, I knew he was a young guy and I was staying in downtown. I said, hey man, you want to go, grab some, food and some beer the night before? And so we met up, had a little man date, and hasn't been the same since.
I know. We've been in contact ever since. We got to work out together the next day too in the gym, and it's great. We got a lot of similarities and commonalities too. I forgot to mention I have a background in strength and conditioning as a specialist. Don't do a ton of personal training, but some. But our gym looks very similar to what's behind you there, Daniel. Power rack and dumbbells, physio balls. So not your traditional place to have therapy, so, and that's definitely something that we're going to get into in the future here. But Daniel, I got a quick question. What is, of all your jobs, I think I heard 4 there. What would be your favorite one, you think?
I would have to say the in-person, the
going house to
sports
house.
Rehab, personal training. Because I need that involvement. Because other than that, I talk to, my dogs or my toddlers, that I get to have a couple adult conversations with my wife here and there, but that keeps me sane, having that personal contact with people. That's probably what I like doing the most right now. I mean, I really do love traveling with isokinetics as well, because again, I'm meeting people. I'm doing a lot of, just meeting people, seeing different things, get a lot of interaction that way. It gives me a chance to do a little traveling too.
For sure. Now, for CSMI, and this is, by the way, not a commercial for CSMI, but you've gotten to go to the NFL Combine, and you've gotten to go some pretty sweet places with CSMI, right?
I have. So
that's awesome.
So with CSMI, I got started with them because my mentor, the guy that I worked for right out of school, I actually did some rotations with him as a student. John Hisimoto down in Tampa. He came up in the 80s in his career when isokinetics was big. And then when everybody stopped using it, he continued it. Yeah. So he helped, companies like CSMI develop, some of the more modern uses. The 2 guys in the company, they're not clinicians, they're software engineers, mechanical engineers, salesmen. They don't understand the rehab side of it, but John was really good at teaching them, hey, this is what the machines can do now. This is what you should make them do. So he really kind of worked to modernize it. And then when, John, he's recently retired, he kind of handed the reins off to me. And we'll get into a whole bunch about, my experience with that, but that allowed me to, went to the combine for the NFL Combine for 5 or 6 years. Yeah. So just opened a lot of avenues for me.
That's awesome. So that was your first job?
That was my first job. Yeah, I did a rotation as an athletic training student in John's physical therapy clinic. And then I worked for him as a tech all through PT school, which is kind of cool because I'd get to, granted, I got a lot of it in athletic training, but then I get even more of it with physical therapy. And then 2 days a week in the evenings, I was in the clinic, able to not just, you're limited in what you can do as a tech, but I'm able to, shoot concepts back and forth with, John and Dwayne. Dwayne Heiner was another therapist there. And he was, instrumental in my education as well.
And just in learning about isokinetics from you and like people like, Eric Maida, it's just made me realize that I'm angry I haven't learned about isokinetics earlier in my career. So I did get to go, like I said earlier, to CSM this year. And I don't know if I got to tell you this. I got to sit down, me and my buddy are at a sports section, not banquet, but like a little social event that they're having. And there weren't a whole lot of people there. So we were having a beer. And I was like, you about ready to get out of here? And then George Davies walks in. And he's talking, and then I lose track of him. And he sits down right next to me and my friend and just asks about like my name and who I am and what we're doing. And I'm like, Mr. Davies, do you like to be called Dr. Davies or George? Or he said, George. He was super down to earth. But the dude actually wrote the book, literally the book on isokinetics, and just it was just really cool, man. And just these people wanting to help the profession and help me and help us implement, return to play stuff. And then, I get to meet you. I've met some really cool people from isokinetics is what I'm getting at. So I'm impressed that you're able to have the experience at such a young part of your professional career. That's awesome.
Yeah. Great opportunities.
Sure.
So one of the things that as soon as I walked into your clinic, I noticed very different. And, we talked the night before, about our kind of philosophies on rehab and whatnot. But one thing I noticed right away, it didn't look like my grandma's clinic. It didn't look like, most of the clinics that I've been into. I don't know how many squat racks you had.
We got four squat racks. Yes.
Yeah. And, even when I was, helping Rob, put the machine together that day, I was watching a lot of the interventions you're using are similar to mine. I think I saw some lady that could be my grandma was in the squat rack. Squatting. And, just a lot of things I saw there that day that I like to use as well that you just don't see in the traditional, outpatient PT clinic.
For sure, man. The older women specifically, they see the squat racks and the heavy dumbbells and barbells, and they get kind of intimidated. But then we start to educate them, and we start to just encourage them to exercise, and in a safe way, a way that they're comfortable. We don't start off, putting 135 pounds on someone's sweet granny that has osteoporosis, but yeah, they're around it, and that everyone, they can see people working through different parts of their physical therapy programs. That it's good, and it should look like a gym, especially if you have athletes. And I always tell people we see people from the bedside to the barbell, and anywhere and everywhere in between too. And we do love sweet grannies in here.
Absolutely.
You got to.
All right, Matt. So why don't you read off some of the things that we plan on discussing?
Yeah. So we got
over the course of this podcast.
We got a lengthy topic. We're going to have to order these, Daniel, because we got almost 30 topics. Some of the best ones are how to stay up to date with the research while working full time. Really, really good question. What about student loans? What should I do? We're going to invite a financial advisor to come on and talk about that. Why does the APTA membership cost so much? And is it really important? Things of that nature. Daniel, you have that list in front of you? You pick out any of your favorites there?
I don't have the list in front of me.
Okay.
I have you in front of me.
I'm right in front of you. So another one, we were just talking about isokinetics. Obviously, you and I are real passionate about it. So we'll talk about like a real 30,000 foot view, like why is isokinetics important in the return to play process. We're going to talk about some protocols and how they kind of suck from doctors, but for new grads, they might not be a bad idea, transitioning from a staff PT to a director. We'll also talk about gamification and PT telehealth, second jobs, how to become an entrepreneur and own your own business. So just a huge wire, just a big breadth of topics from A to Z, really. My mind kind of races when I think about this list and where to go. But that's why you're here, Daniel. You're here to rein me in and keep me going in the right direction here, man.
Yeah, no, it's important because, again, most podcasts you hear about this new study or
Yeah,
this,
this one study.
intervention. And, that's great. That's where I get most of my continuing ed from. But I was thinking, well, if I'm sitting around with my, PT buddies, what would we talk about? We'd probably talk about the
Yeah.
day-to-day stuff, how do I manage, keeping the family life and work life balance, especially if you're the
Oh
owner.
yeah.
How to market that's just different than just going and dropping off your card at the doctor's, little things
Yeah.
like that. I think we can discuss that some people might listen, some people might just not, but
Yeah,
all right.
it's definitely going to be very, very broad, and it's going to be very
Mhm.
different, but that's kind of why I like outpatient PT. You can do so
Yeah.
much stuff in outpatient. One day we might be doing passive range of motion on someone's rotator cuff, and the next day we have this patient with BPPV. It's challenging, and that's why I think
Mhm.
you and I are both drawn to outpatient, and return to play, return to sport with ACL, you and I both share a passion for. It
Mhm.
might be one of the most challenging things because our science sucks about it right now, and we're having a
Yeah.
hard time figuring out what is the best way to do this. So,
Mhm.
yeah, we want to talk a lot about that, but I'm just excited to get started and to get it going, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're planning on doing this weekly. All right, that's our
I,
goal.
yeah, it's going to be weekly. We're going to invite some guests on from time to time. If they agree, if you're listening out there, hopefully you agree to come be a guest because it might
Mhm.
be you, Eric Mara, George Davies.
Yeah, and
Uh,
I know a couple people that I could,
good,
invite to come on. Real good buddy of mine. He's actually my best man. He's
nice,
starting a telehealth PT.
big
And so
deal.
it's not just, his day to day, but like I said, he's been starting this for months and almost like a year now. So
Wow.
just talk about some of the things that goes into actually starting that he never imagined,
Oh, I
um,
can't imagine. Yeah.
yeah, even just with me, I love what I do, but I still get my headaches. I still have things in my day that are frustrating. Everybody thinks the grass is greener on the other side. Well, it's yes and no. So we want to talk about things like that. You mentioned something that's in a rehab or a PT in CrossFit. I know
Yeah,
somebody that's also works out of the CrossFit gym. That kind of life. There's a lot of good side hustles
for sure.
that can be done. And it's funny because that's basically what I'm doing now. I just took a lot of my side hustles and I made them my full-time gig. So yeah, hopefully we can cover a lot of things outside the box.
Yeah, I think we will. I think it's going to be good. If nothing else comes of it, I think you and I can meet some really cool people.
Hmm.
And obviously, we're both very passionate about
Hmm.
physical therapy. And I love it. I think it's the best profession out there. I really do. And I want to make sure we're doing everything we can to get some information to some young therapists. And just like, because I wish I just would have, don't you wish you would have known some of the things you do now, when we first started, Daniel?
Oh
And
yeah.
just, oh gosh, I was a knucklehead when I still am to some extent,
Hmm.
but I really wish I would have had those conversations, which you and I can just have,
Yeah.
basically together right now. So
And that was even one of the topics that came up when
yeah,
we were coming up with this. It's like, when you're first graduating, you take that job that you'll get paid for, but is it really what you want to do? And
yeah,
finding your fit.
for sure, for sure. I mean, my parents didn't even I had some jobs. They didn't make me get a serious job in
Mhm.
college because all the pressure is to graduate. If you don't graduate, it's all for nothing, basically. So
Mhm.
yeah, I can't wait till we get to that. I got some pretty good stories that are gonna make
Good.
you cringe or giggle, maybe a little bit of
Well,
both.
a
So
little of my background. I was in the Army before
oh, okay,
school,
okay.
so if it didn't work out, I was going back to shooting rockets. So as you'll
Yeah.
find out, I'm more of just a meathead with a degree. It's kind of
Yes.
my nature.
Yes. That's great. That's great. I think that's why you and I get along so well, our love for
Mhm.
the gym and how it translates to physical therapy. I kind of think they're one and the same, really.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah,
And
yeah.
of course, if anybody has something you want to hear us rant about, you're more than welcome to drop us a topic, or if you wanted to get on and discuss something. Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty laid back. We're not
Yep.
We're not sticking to the script too much. We more just have general ideas.
Yeah. I have a list of like 4 words, that I wanted to go over. And I think we've pretty much talked on all of them. But yeah, I'm excited to get going. I'm looking at our list and I'm ready to get to work on it, man.
All right. So we'll see everybody next time, and we will have a topic.
We
We'll figure out
will.
we'll figure out on our list where we want to go.
We will. We will. Thanks
And
for
we'll
tuning
try
in.
to stay on topic.
We're gonna try, but we can't make any promises when we're together. But thanks everyone for tuning in, and we will catch up with you guys next time. Thank you.
Yep. See you, Matt.
See you, buddy.